Welcome, everyone, to Couch Potato Theater here on the Fandom Podcast Network, where we celebrate our favorite movies. My name is Kevin. I'm going to be one of your hosts. I'd like to welcome you and my special guest to Couch Potato Theater, Fright Night, 1985. I'd like to welcome my lovely wife, Erin. How you doing?
G'day, mate. Gotta do it.
It's a thing that we do.
It's a thing. Australian, the obvious.
Yes, yeah. So anyway, we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Fright Night here, and we'll let you know there might be some adult content here on this podcast. So just giving you a little warning there. Fright Night is turning 40 years old here as of this recording here in 2025.
Oh,
Jeez. Yeah. This movie came out in 1985, 40 years ago. We got a lot to get here for Fright Night. This is the Fandom Podcast Network. And if you're watching the YouTube channel there, go ahead and give us a click on the QR code. It'll take you to our website. Support us there. And like I said, we are celebrating Fright Night. We're really excited. Halloween is just around the corner here. And we always like to do a Halloween episode. And Erin and I have done that before. I remember we've done, what was it, Near Dark? We did that one. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. And we get together and do this, a couple pods sometimes. So we got another one coming up as well. But we are celebrating Fright Night. And as you're watching the video, we've got some cool Fright Night posters up there. Some really cool art here. And also, too, we're going to be discussing the steel book that I have here. That is the 4K Blu-ray and digital. And it's got some great special features on this. And I also got the original DVD. This was the first time I actually got this film. I bought this DVD. Because I have watched this movie for the first time within the last few years. I was a little late to the party here. So. But Erin, when you and I were back in Australia, in Melbourne, your hometown there, we went to go see a big screen version or a big screening of the Crow. When we were there, we met a friend of yours there, and a friend of yours has a really cool tattoo of the actual image of the poster. Tell us about your friend here in the tattoo here.
Well, shout out to Glenn Graves, who I worked with at JB Hi-Fi many moons ago. He is a big horror fan. We've watched many horror films together, and Fright Night's one of his favorite films, and he's got a tattoo on his arm, just a beautiful tattoo there. And that's he's got Maniac. He's a big fan of Maniac and stuff like that. So that is his tattoo.
Yeah, it's a really cool, and he was a cool dude too. So we were all there to see the Crow, so it was a good thing, So yeah. All right. Well, we are, of course, moving along here with Fright Night, and we want to get into the main movie discussion here. Now, the first thing we always like to do is the IMDb, possibly vague and not always spot on plot description here. So it starts off by Fright Night sees a teenager believing that the newcomer in his neighborhood is a vampire. He turns to an actor in a television host horror movie show for help to deal with the undead. But the more in-depth with, details, IMDb description says, for young Charley Brewster, nothing could be better than the old horror movie Late at Night. Two men move in next door, and for Charley, with his horror movie experience, there can be no doubt that they are a vampire and his day guardian. The only one who can help hunt him down is a washed-up actor, Peter Vincent, who hosts Charley's favorite TV show, Fright Night. But Vincent doesn't really believe that vampires exist. So there you go. Not too bad for a description.
Pretty much it.
Pretty plot,
in a nutshell.
Yeah. Now, the principal photography commenced on December 3rd, 1984 and wrapped on February 23rd, 1985. It was released August 2nd of 85, 40 years ago.
Don't.
Has a running time of about an hour and 46 minutes, a budget of $9 million estimate, but it made about almost $25 million.
Yeah, did quite well.
Did better than expected, so that was cool. So I want to ask you, Erin, since you were the one that saw this originally before I did, where did you see this originally?
We'd had to have been at the cinema. Dad probably took us, my brother and I, so we would have seen it definitely at the cinema.
Yeah.
And loved it straight away. It's just a great film.
Did you catch it again, like on home video or anything soon after that?
40 billion times.
That's funny.
Seen it many, many, many times. Owned it, seen it, watched it, everything on all formats.
So I don't remember the reason why I watched
no.
it maybe a couple of years ago for the first time. Might have been because of you.
No, yeah, that's totally
There
right.
must have been a discussion about Fright Night, and I had never gotten around. I never saw it in its original theater run, and I remember seeing the VHS all the time and seeing the DVD. But I found this DVD probably at a thrift store, or op shop, whatever you guys call them. And I like it because it says special 99-cent rental on it right there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to check it out. And I was surprised how fun this movie was.
Yes.
How good this practical effects were, how it was funny, but not like comedy funny. And just the overall cast was great. And so when we knew that there was going to be a celebration of this, of course, I watched it. I bought the 4K edition here as well, which is really nice because it comes with 3 discs. I'm showing it right here. And also too, it comes with digital, and it's a really nice print of it, for the 4K and of course for the Blu-ray. And we'll get into the other reason that this is also a cool thing to get because of the special features that are on it as well. But yeah, we'll go into this later, but I actually saw the remake first with Colin Farrell when it first came out because it was right in the middle of the 3D craze of 2009 to 2015 era. And I remember seeing it in 3D. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I was really happy that we were like, let's go ahead and discuss Fright Night and especially celebrate Halloween for 2025, celebrating the anniversary of 40 years ago. So, but let's get into the main movie discussion here. And I do have a little bit of, well, hold on, wait, before we do that, Aaron. Recently, we of course so funny. We went down to LA recently. Went to the Museum of Death. Museum of Death. We did some other fun stuff.
School.
What's that?
Buffy School.
Yes, we went down and went to Torrance, California, where we visited Buffy's school.
90210.
90210, of course, was filmed there for the scenes and stuff. But we had watched the documentary that we're going to be discussing shortly. We watched it together, but also too in our hotel room. Fright Night was playing, so we were watching in our hotel room.
Right after The Thing.
Literally, was it? Yeah, we watched The Thing and Fright Night back to back at our hotel room. That was literally 2 days ago.
I did that as a double at the Astor. I have a feeling because I've seen it again on the big screen because the Astor does a lot of, which is a wonderful 90-year-old cinema in Melbourne, Australia, which we've been to. The seats are about that era as well.
Great theater, yeah.
But yeah, so I would have done a double, and it could have been Evil Dead and Fright Night. It was one of those things.
Yeah. We've seen movies at the Astor there in Melbourne, Australia.
But yeah, it was on TV again.
Yeah, so we got caught up, obviously. So that's how we watched it recently.
Slightly cut.
Yeah. There was some editing, especially for the titty scene in the beginning. Yeah, it was cropped to the top. Some of the language was curtailed.
It's on AMC. Don't they play Walking Dead? Like, hello.
Yeah, I know, but I have a feeling that they just
boobs are off.
Well, I figure too. There's an edited version that they can pull from a bank somewhere, so it has to be all ready to go and stuff. So yeah. But we want to get into a article that I found here, a more recent article, which I thought was cool. It's called Fright Night at 40. Fans celebrate the vampire classic on social media. This was published on movieweb.com, and it was by James Meltzer. It was published just a few months ago, August of 2025, which was the true anniversary of this film. He's a critic. John Meltzer is a critic and author with the addiction of 80s horror movies, covering entertainment news for the past 15 years. He also covers pop culture, film, and other television as well. It says, Fright Night is an iconic masterpiece. When it comes to the best vampire movies ever made, there's a few that automatically make everyone's top 10 list. The Lost Boys, Near Dark, From Dusk Till Dawn, and Dracula easily come to mind, and rightfully so. They're generational classics that left an indelible mark on the horror genre. Among them all, however, is an 85 classic that recently celebrated its 40th anniversary that to this day remains one of the best. It is evident by fans taking to social media to mark the occasion. Released on August 2nd, 1985, Fright Night came along at a time when vampires were experiencing a lull at the cinema. Audience had grown tired of the Hammer films of the 60s and 70s, while Tony Scott tried to breathe new life into them with The Hunger in 83. It wasn't until a couple of years later that vampires became hip again, thanks to writer-director Tom Holland. Quote, Fright Night releases today, 1985, has a clever conceit of male vampires who look like GQ models, not the living dead, masking the depths of their evil. fun thrill ride with old pros Chris Sarandon and Roddy McDowall delivering the goods. Doesn't Amanda Bierce make a cool vamp? Needless to say, Fright Night is still a favorite 40 years after its premiere, and deservedly so, by blending a self-aware protagonist with excellent practical effects, a stellar supporting cast, and colorful yet moody cinematography. Holland created a genre-bending masterpiece that still holds up today. Sadly, Fright Night is currently unavailable to stream on any service, but you can rent it or purchase it now on all digital platforms. And if you get this 4K that I have here, it comes with a digital code. Otherwise, I think you can purchase it through iTunes and stuff like that. But Aaron, back to what they're saying here. One thing I did notice was after I saw this, and I remember people were talking about it, and I was doing a deep dive into social media, and I know you saw it, and I've tagged you on it. This movie seems to hold a special place in people's heart.
Yeah, I don't think I know anyone who said I don't like it.
That has seen it, right?
Yeah, that has definitely seen it.
Yeah.
And I think you've got actually seen quite, especially in the 80s, it was one of those movies that you could rent because it wasn't really, no, I wouldn't say it was, we're going to talk about this, but I don't think it's a comedy. It's not an out and out.
It's not a horror comedy. It's not
like a Once Bitten or, Love at First Bite and all that sort of stuff. It's just that it has comedic stuff in it, but also there is some sort of creepy stuff, and and it's tragic, especially with Evil Ed and things like that, and it's sexy, and so I think I think it surprised them on how well it actually did at the cinema. It was one that we all went to see because so I would have been 15, so we were right age to go and see it. It wasn't R-rated. And R-rated.
Yes,
18.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and then it's just everyone's likable. There's no one you don't like in this film.
This is true. Even Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandrige. How can you not like him? It's
hot. Look, there's my scene.
We have it playing in the background right now. I think it's rated R pretty much just for the tits in the beginning, right? So it's kind of funny. Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm surprised, but I was even though I had just recently seen it over the last few years for the first time, the original one, I felt like there was just this but this really generational love for this film that even parents have probably, shown their kids and stuff like that. And I feel like, there's a lot of 80s nostalgia for younger kids now. They're kind of discovering what we lived through. And I feel like Fright Night's one of those that has been making the rounds of have you seen Fright Night? You got to see Fright Night.
Well, I think it's definitely, so if you want to go into a nostalgia, rabbit hole, it is. I don't think it's 80s. I mean, except for some of the clothes is a bit but I think the rest of it isn't too, I think it's aged very well.
Yeah.
And it's not looking sad and tired. All the effects are looking crap. It's sort of up there with The Thing of being,
really good.
I mean, even though they're practical, they still stand out. Still would prefer watching this than anything CGI. Really,
That's an excellent point and a good segue into what we want to talk about next is the special effects. And that was highlighted in a very cool documentary. If you have not seen it yet, it is called
really good.
You're So Cool, Brewster. And this came out, I want to say about, 2016 actually is when it came out. You're So Cool, Brewster, the story of Fright Night. And it runs a few hours. And it's you can buy it actually on Blu-ray if you want. I have a picture of it there if you're watching the YouTube, and I have a couple of the posters that
might have been one of those fan, when you put money in and people get their credit there.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I think you're right.
Call them fan.
Yeah, like a GoFundMe or something like that.
I think that's what it was.
So you can find it. You can find it on physical media, or you can do is buy this 4K release out there because this documentary is in this 4K steelbook that I have here.
And on Screenbox.
Screenbox digital.
Yeah,
okay.
That's
So here's the steelbook that I have, and it is one of the special features in here. And this is the little slipcover that comes with it if you're watching the video here, and that is included here. And there's a lot of special features on this 4K here. They did a really good job with this, including You're So Cool, Brewster. So this is an extensive look into making a Fright Night 1985 and Fright Night Part 2. They cover that as well, which came out in '88, featuring extensive interviews with the cast and crew members, rare photographs, behind-the-scenes footage, and more. The director is Christopher Griffiths. And they have a lot of the people that started this film.
Who is still alive.
Yeah, they're still alive. Chris Sarandon, of course, William Ragsdale, Amanda Bierce, Brian Thompson, Stephen Jeffries, Tom Holland. Brian Thompson is in Fright Night Part 2, which we'll discuss shortly a little bit later on. But yeah, it's a really good documentary about this. And we watched it together. And they spent most of the time talking about Fright Night itself. And obviously they talk about how they were getting this made and how Tom Holland came up with the idea of it. But I want to ask you, Aaron, what was it? What was the main thing that stood out for you watching this documentary called "You're So Cool, Brewster"?
Well, I think the cast are all happy. Like, no, even though some of them went through hell, like Stephen Jeffries with the werewolf outfit. Like, there's things that because of its practical effects, people had to be in latex for getting ready for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
And it was hot and it was still, I mean, they filmed on a lot and I think they built most of it, but I think it's just the fondness and that they're still friends. And they talked a lot about Roddy McDowall. Yeah, Roddy McDowall, and how he would have loved if he had, because he was old.
He passed away in '99, if I remember correctly.
That he would have loved all this now with all the conventions.
He would have been a hoot at conventions.
He was a mass cinephile who, he collected all the movies. If you ever wanted a movie, he had it on 5 mil print and all that sort of stuff. So it was hearing all the stories about young people getting in there and just creating, especially with all the effects guys. And, and the dreadful things that they might have put them through going, well, we were these fumes and this worked and that. But they were young and they weren't sitting behind a computer pushing a button. This was all done, by, luck and probably controlled substances. And because it was the 80s.
Okay, so you touched on something there that I think we walked away from this documentary, "You're So Cool, Brewster," that as wonderful it is to see the stars telling about their experience. It was the special effects team that really kind of stood out for us in this. And a lot of the chemicals that they were kind of messing with, it was trial and error. And of course they twice, cocaine was mentioned. There was a lot of cocaine on the set,
people having sex on tables.
Yeah.
There you go.
one guy was caught having sex on the
because he was like a rock star.
Yeah.
And they're all really young. These are like 20 something people that are just coming in. And one guy wasn't in the union, or he wasn't, they couldn't bring him in, but they did, and then the studio was going to kick him out.
Yeah, you learned about a hierarchy within the special effects.
He had to do so many hours before he could worked on something.
That was a fascinating aspect of this documentary.
And it's and the funniest thing, one of the most iconic looks is when Amy gets, that becomes a vampire, and then she has the big mouth, and that was a last minute think about.
Yeah.
And suddenly Tom Holland went to their effects guys and went, "I'll just make Jaws." And they're like, "Well, it's not going to look that good." And they're like, "You're not going to see it." Yeah. And then it became on the poster.
Yes.
It's like, it's everywhere, and people just
that's Amy right there. That's
we've
the
got
big
a friend
mouth,
of ours who's dressed up as her, Sin, and on Facebook, who has actually dressed up. I wish I could find that photo.
Yeah.
But she's gone dressed up as Amy, as the vampire. But these sort of last minute things that they would do just to create magic, and it's still
the other thing too that I thought was really I'll mention that there's the Kickstarter program. In 2015, the filmmakers raised over 1,500 or 15,000 pounds from fans on Kickstarter to get this documentary made.
Yeah.
A tie-in coffee book by writers Gary Smart and Neil Morris was scheduled to be published to coincide with the initial release of the documentary, but the series of publishing problems delayed it by more than 6 months. The book includes interview excerpts that don't appear anywhere on the discs, and it gives a much broader insight to the making of Fright Night Part 2 from 1988. Yeah, most of the documentary is about the first film. But the one thing I walked away to was the director, Tom Holland, understands how important this film is to the horror genre, to the fans. And you can tell he was kind of choking up about it towards the end of the interview, and he was very thankful that it still has endured over all these years.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And it's not, it just gets bigger and bigger.
It does. Yeah. So we're going to go on to some, so check it out. Again, you can buy it. I've seen it on eBay for just the documentary itself on Blu-ray. But if you want, I suggest getting this Steelbook. This is the best way to get it, and it's worth it. So check it out. All right. So next we have here is movie reviews. And let me show some pictures, first of all, real quick here on YouTube from the documentary. There's William Ragsdale, and I love that Amanda Bierce has her what she looks like. She's all vamped out. I love that one there. Let's get into some movie reviews here, and there's some decent reviews here. If you go to, of course, the biggest one that there is Rotten Tomatoes. It's got an 83% tomato meter and 77% popcorn meter there. I think that's the fans, so it's definitely very favorable there. Roger Ebert, our biggest star when it came to movie reviews for like 30 or 40 years. He says Roger Ebert, the Chicago Sun-Times, gave the film 3 out of 4 stars and wrote, Fright Night is not a distinguished movie, but it has a lot of fun being undistinguished. Interesting. Okay. Variety praised Sarandon's performance, writing that he is terrific as the vampire, quite affable and debonair until his fingernails start to grow and his eyes get that glow. And on IMDb, it has a rating of 7 out of 10. And on Letterboxd, it has a rating of 3.6 out of 5. So pretty favorable. I was noticing that a lot of really favorable reviews about it. Like you said, you haven't met anyone that's seen it that doesn't like it, right?
No, you'll get that wanker that will go in like recently and go, you'll always get one idiot.
Yeah.
But it's a very rare idiot to get.
This is true. I mean, hey, it turned me. I mean, I became a fan of it.
Compared to, I still can't understand why you didn't see it.
Yeah, so
weird.
Full disclosure, I'm not a big horror person. I married someone who is, and horror genre is not something I immediately go to towards films. And I'll be honest with you, this movie sounded scarier than it actually is.
Yeah.
But if I knew what I was getting into, I would have seen it sooner. For me, it kind of falls in a little bit kind of with like, and it's really weird that I didn't see it, because I'll be honest with you, I did not know it was a vampire movie. And I love vampire movies. I go to vampire movies, and I'll take chances on vampire movies when it comes to horror stuff. But this movie, Fright Night, no one told me it was a freaking vampire movie. I just thought it was just like a really scary movie with monsters and, jump scares, which is not my immediate go-to type of film. But if someone like you would have came up to me and said, this is a really cool vampire movie, you should see it, I would have seen it. But no one did that. So there you go.
Sad.
I know. No. All right. So I've got some cool movie trivia here I want to showcase with you guys here. So the first one that we have here is, because of his theatrical roots and the long hours spent in the makeup chair, Chris Sarandon helped apply his own vampire makeup and often worked on his finger extension while his makeup artists were putting on appliances for his face, because he was in the chair for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
And he was just like trying not to fall asleep. He's like, well, let me at least work on the hands. And he mentions that in the documentary, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. It was Chris Sarandon's idea to have Jerry eating apples throughout the film. While researching vampire lore, Sarandon looked at information about bats and concluded Jerry had a lot of fruit bat in his DNA. So
he does love his apple.
Yeah, that was a good touch. I like that. The film's genesis came in Tom Holland wanting to do a vampire story crossbred with The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Avoiding using special effects at the expense of good acting, Holland included plenty of humor, warmth, and relationships. He also wanted to make it valid to a modern audience by rooting it in reality, hence the suburbia setting. That was key that I noticed when I was watching it for the first time.
It's not an all-out comedy. They're not out to be funny.
No,
I think it's just because it is so warm. It's got humor, because there are some funny things in it, but it's not an all out I'm going to be funny.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. At the time it was being filmed, the studio was sinking all of its efforts into making a hit out of Perfect, 1985. They also gave high priority to The Slugger's Wife, 1985. Nobody paid any attention to Fright Night, quote by Tom Holland. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
So I'm getting the feeling after watching the documentary and going through this trivia that they were given a decent amount of budget to make this, and they were kind of just given reins to make this movie.
Yeah. Don't annoy us. I think with horror, I remember one time talking to a guy who was in, I think he worked on Dracula, and he was saying that the easiest thing to sell is a horror screenplay.
Yeah.
Horror is easy to make,
and it's
usually
cheap.
It's cheap, and you usually can do quite well with it. So I think in those days, especially in the 80s, when, it started going with videos and stuff like that, then in direct-to-video stuff, horror was an easy thing.
It's still the same. If you look at all of the films right now that have lower budgets that are doing well, it's been horror for the last 20 years.
2025 has been the best year for horror. It really is. Just everything else has sucked, and horror has been
I mean, go see Good Boy, the one about the view from the dog. That was made on a small budget, and it was wonderful. So make sure you check that out. Here's some more trivia here. The crew spent a lot of time and money composing the scene where Jerry walks through Mr. Brewster's bedroom and casts no reflection in the mirror. Quote, "It doesn't work," director Tom Holland has frequently commented. Quote, "The audience never notices because I framed it badly." And as we, of course, as you can guess here, what does it say here? The much of the film's $9.5 million budget was spent on special effects. It was the first vampire film to spend $1 million on special effects. The most financially successful horror film of the 1985 summer season, and the second highest grossing horror film of 1985 behind A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Which
sucked that film. That wasn't very good. So that was only running off the first one.
One thing I did want to mention too, and it was alluded to earlier, but I thought that we should take a second to discuss this because Tom Holland mentioned it in You're So Cool, Brewster documentary about how this was a bad time for vampire films. Yes. And what's funny about it is in the film itself, Peter Vincent says, no one cares about vampires anymore. They always want to watch somebody with a mask hacking up teenagers, basically.
But then the irony after that, Lost Boys came out and Near Dark, and it became a really good decade for vampire movies.
Yes, people start coming back to vampires. So
was that for Fright Night?
Yeah, and then you had Near Dark in '87. I mean, so we had a nice little run there.
Lost Boys made it back. It was hot again.
Yeah, but it was interesting that it's mentioned in the film that no one wants to see vampire movies, and they weren't doing well. It was all
they only wanted to see slashers.
Slashers,
guys in hockey masks.
Yes,
killing virgins.
Speaking of Peter Vincent, his name is two actors are well known for their appearances in horror films: Peter Cushing and Vincent Price.
And he wanted Vincent Price, but Vincent Price's health wasn't that good.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm sort of glad he didn't, because I think that would have been too
on the nose.
Yeah. Well, it would have been too obvious, and it's sort of a bit like I think with Roddy McDowall, even though you knew him from like Planet of the Apes, and he had done Legend of Hell House, one of those. Yep. It was nice with him because he's quite sweet.
I think Roddy McDowall was the perfect casting. And it's funny too, because after watching it again, after we watched the You're So Cool, Brewster, the only thing they didn't like was how they prepped his hair.
Yeah. It looks like someone got a powder puff of talcum powder.
Yes.
And put it on his hair.
But I got to tell you, of all the things I've seen Roddy McDowall is, I got to say this was my favorite performance of his.
Yeah, because he's always been that sort of. He's a bit soft.
Yeah, he's
great.
Lovely
because he needs to be, but he comes back. But it is that sort of, because he's got to be if you had Vincent Price, he was a top tier actor.
Yeah,
and even though Roddy McDowall had done some excellent stuff, he, as Peter Vincent, needed to be like a fourth tier actor.
Yeah,
especially with the some of the scenes in him and other movies.
Yeah, I mean, this movie, I thought he was really good in.
Yeah.
I was impressed with this. Our last bit of trivia here is kind of funny, and Amanda Bierce refers to this, of course, in the documentary. For her final transformation into a vampire, Amanda Bierce donned a prosthetic breastplate to enhance her cleavage. In 2012, Bierce brought them to a horror convention and encouraged fans to feel her boobs while she signed autographs.
As you do.
Can you imagine getting a selfie with those tits? That'd be great. All right, let's go ahead and get into our favorite scenes. That's always a fun one. All right, I'm going to showcase, of course, some slides here for the viewing audience here. Got a lot of famous scenes in this here, Aaron, and I want you to go first. Tell me what are some of your favorite scenes in Fright Night?
Oh, I like the bit at the end when he's fighting Chris Sarandon. He's the bat, and then he becomes that great big thing, explodes. It sort of looks like a creature out of Poltergeist, really.
Oh,
that
yeah,
sort of bat thing. Oh, I don't know. It's a movie of lots, and there's no real. It doesn't. To me, it doesn't lag. Are we going to go with the perfect film? Because it could be.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
And there's no lagging. Everything it goes from one scene to one scene to one scene to one scene. So there's no, I don't know. They're all good. I mean, I like some of the little bits in between with the, them all hanging out together, the little gang, and they've got some quotable moments. And then, the Chris Sarandon was hot. His friend was, his day guardian was a total dick, and he was great about it.
Oh, he was like a bully too.
No, he was the man.
He would intentionally walk in front of William Ragdale's character.
He was just watching. You can just watch the whole film with just him. There's like certain things where you can watch it again, but just watch certain characters all the way through and just focus on them. There's so much thing happening. So I really don't have a favorite because I love all of it.
You bring up a good point. Aaron and I were having a discussion, and this is a podcast we might do in the future about perfect films. And, we all throw out what films are perfect here. And I came up with some parameters that would be important to define a perfect film. And I came up with 5 of them. And let's do the test right now on Fright Night as we're talking about our favorite scenes here. Instant rewatchability.
Totally.
Yes. Okay. Second one, screenplay.
Yes.
Great screenplay, right? Great cast or ensemble cast. Yes. Yep. Score and soundtrack.
Yes,
Brad Fiedel.
It's driven by it. And it's funny because we'll bring it up later because we watched the remake and I'm sitting there, the music was behind.
Yeah.
Where this music was a bit like Jaws.
Especially during the dance seduction scene in the club.
No, not so much.
That was a good one.
I think it was when it was with Jerry and he's got that do-do.
Oh yeah.
And I said it's like Jaws. It's literally it's driven. It is part of the movie.
Yeah. Good point. And the last one of the 5 points of parameters I have for a perfect film is editing. No parts of the movie lag. No. I don't know if this movie lags anywhere.
No,
it doesn't. Anyway. It doesn't.
It just keeps going from scene to scene to scene to scene.
This could qualify as a perfect movie then.
I'm going with it.
Yeah. I love the scene when Jerry first is in the house already with the mom and Jerry knows what's going on and I love just how
he knows that he knows that he knows
yes
that he knows.
yes, definitely.
And the mother was hysterical. Apparently she just sort of dropped off the earth.
Yeah, she stopped acting. They said that in the doco.
Acting and she's done a Jenny Wright and disappeared. And but she was hysterical. Like the mother was just, and she wasn't even trying to be funny. It was just, she was those sort of typical 80s mom.
She was good.
We didn't find out where the father was. It just happened to be that she was living with his son.
You didn't really need to know at the time. So I love obviously the end scene when there's the struggle at the house and and what I love about the end scene, not just that the cool freaky bat that Jerry turns into, but just what happens to everyone else.
Oh, I know.
And what they're what is the guy, what's his name? His daycare guy.
What is his name?
We'll get to the cast in a second here.
You dying? You okay?
Yeah, sorry. A little scratch in the throat there, but just like, what was he? Like he had this green goo when he got killed, and
was he a vampire? Wasn't he? And then they brought up in the thing, were they a couple? Like they've been together. It's sort of, he didn't think so when he was filming it, the actor. He's like, no, but coming back and watching it later through different eyes, you're like, maybe they've been sort of this sort of couple for years.
Right.
And that, you know, everything else is just food.
Yeah.
And because, you know, even though, you know, Amy's meant to be the love of his life, he really just you know, once she's big, he's like, when he puts Charley in there, he goes, oh, you got, you know, Dave will break to kill her.
Yeah.
I don't care after that.
Yeah.
He's gotten what he's got and he's off with his friend. So it is watch it through different eyes. And it's quite an interesting take on how they do everything. But I tell you what, also scenes, and it's not like a favorite scene, but it's actually a heartbreaking scene, which is really hard to do when you're dying and you're covered in fur and you're half a werewolf, but is and spoiler alert, the death of Evil Ed.
Yeah.
And Roddy McDowall looking at him and crying because of the sort of, you know, the pain that he's going through. And Stephen Jeffrey, they both were excellent. And to have that depth in what you would just call a basic horror film is why this film just rocks.
Great point. Yeah, that is a wonderful scene. And it's also terrifying too, you know, and then how it ends up and you're feeling bad for him, you know?
Yeah. And then no one's at fault here. There's no one who's really, except for Jerry, because he's done it to him. But it's sad. And I suppose you could have reflections on
and it's like Jerry seems to have this power to turn anyone, like, okay, you're not going to be a vampire, you're going to be a werewolf. You're not going to be a vampire, you're going to be my day servant guy, or you're going to be like this weird, if you are killed, you're going to, you know, ooze green blood. You know, it's just like you're not quite sure what it is. But it doesn't matter.
No,
it doesn't matter. You just know.
Don't need backstory.
Yeah,
don't need backstory.
you know that Jerry's got some power, you know, other than just being a vampire himself. So I think that's great. All right, let's get into our favorite quotes. I pulled up a few here. Peter Vincent tells Charley that he was fired from his job. I've just been fired because nobody wants to see vampire killers anymore, or vampires either. Apparently, they want to see our demented madman running around in ski masks, hacking up young virgins. Like
I blame Jason for that.
Charley finds Evil Ed, who's pretending to be bitten. Charley Brewster says, Jesus, I warned him. Evil Ed, he got me, Charley. He bit me. You know what you're going to have to do now? Don't you kill me, Charley, before I turn into a vampire and give you a hickey.
Well, didn't they want, what was his name from, oh God, one can never remember his name. The one from Breakfast Club. Hall, Michael Thomas. I don't know. What's his name?
Michael, the nerd.
Yeah.
I think they did want him from.
They did want him, and then they got Stephen Jeffrey, who had done nerdy.
Michael C. Hall.
Before.
No, what's his name?
You know. And I think I liked Evil Ed because he was just a little bit off.
Yeah.
With his freaky hair and. He was,
and that laugh that he had.
Yeah, which apparently followed him for the rest of his life.
Yes. He had to work on that too.
Yeah.
Another one I have is Detective Lennox tells Charley he better never catch his butt again. Charley says, look, I'm telling you, Jerry Dandrige is a vampire. And Detective says, sure, and I'm Dirty Harry. Now, let me tell you something, kid. If you ever catch your ass down at the station house again, I'm throwing it in jail forever.
I know. There was a very funny scene with that, and I'm just trying to find his name, so I'm not looking down. Hold on.
Was there any other quotes?
Billy Cole.
Billy Cole. That's the attendant, the day servant sort of thing.
But it was and apparently it was an ad-lib thing between the policeman and Billy, the two actors, where he stood behind him doing funny sort of vampire, you know, scary ooh, behind him when Charley was saying he's a vampire. Very funny scene, which was apparently just very organic. It was not something that was written in the script.
Was there any other good quotes that jump out at you?
The famous one, "You're so cool, Brewster."
Yeah.
Oh my God.
After was it Amy shoves the sandwich in his face?
Yeah.
I mean, what I found funny about that was and it's so true that you think your friend would support you going, oh man, I'm sorry she did that. But no, he was like embarrassing him even more in front of everybody, you know?
So cool, Bruce. Charley was sort of, To me, he reminded me a lot of Xander from Buffy.
Yes.
He was like a good-looking, nerdy guy.
Yeah.
Who like had the girlfriend, but he wouldn't have been in with the really cool guys. And he's friends with Evil Ed, and they sort of had their own little sort of group.
Yeah, a little clique.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. All right, well, let's get into the cast and crew discussion here, and I want to start with Tom Holland. This is his brainchild here. He directed this and, of course, wrote it. Tom is an American director and screenwriter of horror and thriller films. His early writing projects include Class of 1984, which came out in 82. That was a good movie. Nasty movie, but good movie. I love that one. And Robert Bloch-inspired Psycho 2,
which was a
83.
really good sequel.
You're a fan of that sequel. I know that. Yeah.
I saw that at the cinema when I was 12, 13.
Yeah. Tom gained more notoriety, however, as a director. His directorial debut, of course, was Fright Night, which at the time was said to have been responsible for redefining the subgenre, influenced later films like The Lost Boys, 87, Near Dark, 87. The film was a box office hit and garnered 3 Saturn Awards and 1 Dario Argento Award. That's pretty cool. For his next project, one of my favorites, Child's Play from 1988, Tom again cast Chris Sarandon. The film was #1 box office hit in America and worldwide success. Despite controversy over its thematic content, it, like Fright Night, had since gathered a cult following amongst horror fans.
And he's a stamp in society.
Tom then went on to direct 2 films based on adaptation of Stephen King's novels, The Langoliers in 95 and Thinner in 1996. He also took a cameo role in Stephen King miniseries The Strand in 94.
The Strand.
There you go.
Are we in London?
Yeah.
The Stand.
What is it? Oh, The Stand. Sorry. The Stand.
We're in The Strand. Okay.
Whoops. The Stand in 1984. I stand corrected. Tom's other projects have included the Incredible Hulk episode, Another Path, Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories in 85, 3 episodes of Tales from the Crypt, 89, and the prestigious Masters of Horror, which started in 2005 anthology. He starred in A Walk in Spring Rain with Ingrid Bergman in 1970.
Good-looking guy when he was younger. He's a good-looking guy now, but he was very good-looking.
Yeah.
He actually reminded me a bit of Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah, especially when you look at the pictures from behind the scenes of the documentary. He's a good-looking guy.
Especially that really weird picture of him and Morgan Fairchild, and she wasn't even in the film.
Yeah.
I want to know what that was.
We're trying to figure that out. They kept showing us still Morgan Fairchild was on set of Fright Night, sitting next to him, and we're trying to figure out, well, was she going to be in it? Were they dating?
Was she doing a film next door?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
They kept showing it.
Let us know. That's kind of
Anyone know that? And we looked it up, and they didn't seem to ever be together.
Yeah, that's weird. 2009, Tom took a starring role in Hatchet 2 alongside Kane Hodder and Tony Todd. Of course, horror legends right there.
Yes.
So now let's get into the cast itself here. And I've got pictures here on YouTube of a cast reunion recently took, and also a great picture of Amanda Beers and Chris Sarandon together, originally in 85 for the film and more recently in 2025 at a convention appearance. Of course, you have Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandrige, William Ragsdale as Charley Brewster, Roddy McDowall as Peter Vincent, Amanda Beers as Amy Peterson, Stephen Jeffries as Edward Evil Ed Thompson, Jonathan Stark as Billy Cole. I feel like he stole his roles. He was just so good.
Oh, he was so good. He still reminds me of someone else, and it will come to me one day.
Dorothy Fielding as Judy Brewster, Art J. Evans as Detective Lennox. You might remember him from Die Hard 2. He was one of the police officers that helped John McClane in the Dulles airport. Stuart Stern as Cook, Robert Korff as Jonathan, and Pamela Brown as Miss Nina. Nick Savage and Ernie Holmes portrayed the bouncers killed by Jerry. Playboy playmate Heidi Sorensen also appeared as a prostitute, one of Jerry's victims. So, Aaron, as I showcase a lot of the pictures here from the cast and crew here on YouTube, what cast members stood out for you?
I think they all. I really like. God, put his name up again. Bring it down.
Chris Sarandon?
No, well, yeah, of course, he was hot. But I think, oh God, what's his name? Down. Where'd you go to it? Where is his name? William Ragsdale. That's what I'm trying
William Ragsdale is Charlie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed his performance.
Well, we should talk about who they originally wanted.
Yeah, they wanted Charlie Sheen.
They wanted Charlie Sheen.
Did they want? No, I think Charlie Sheen auditioned, but then Tom Holland was like,
You're too good looking.
You're
That's
too
what he
good
said.
looking, and didn't let him actually audition, but sort of felt bad about it. But I think he would have been too, and a little dark. I don't think Charlie Sheen always had that little bit of naughtiness to him. He's got that face where I think William Ragdale just had that sort of what I call the Xander. He's a Xander. He reminds me of Xander from Buffy. And he's a good looking guy, but he's a bit dorky, and he's wearing a jacket that's got suede on his elbow.
He's got a little innocence to him as well, where Charlie Sheen does not.
No, Charlie Sheen. I don't think Charlie Sheen was ever born with innocence. I mean, and again, everyone. I mean, even Stephen Jeffries with his crying when he was dying, and I think, and I do love Jonathan Stark as Billy Cole. He's such a dick.
Jonathan Stark.
Oh god, he just makes me laugh.
There's certain scenes where he's just trying to get something out of William Ragsdale's Charley Brewster.
And Roddy McDowell, again, all of it was good because, as I said, if you had Vincent Price, again, it's a little bit devilish.
Yeah.
I don't think Vincent Price had a softness to him like with Charlie Sheen. It's a little. Then it would have taken a different edge. I think it would have been maybe a little darker.
Yeah.
And again, I think even with Amanda Burse and she was sort of, she wasn't just your girly girl. And so, you know, and she was old. She was quite old.
She definitely came across as the girl next door as well.
Yeah.
She wasn't like this hot cheerleader girl. She was cute.
They weren't they weren't going to be the king and queen of prom.
Right. Well, I don't think this movie works as well as it has if we don't have Chris Sarandon as, of course, Jerry Dandrige. Not only was he good looking, he was charismatic, and I felt like he was one play ahead of everyone all the way through, and until he wasn't, obviously. And I love, there's just so many moments, especially when like we're having that playing here where he sees Amy for the first time. And we realize that Amy reminds him of someone else. We see the painting of an old love of his. And I love how that kind of starts off his infatuation with her. And then she's
that's that whole Dracula,
and she's fallen for it big time.
Yeah,
I love that, so she was good in that. And Roddy McDowell was great. And rewatching it, Jonathan Stark as Billy Cole. I feel like he's like the MVP of the, not the lead, but he steals his scenes. He's really good. So he's really. There
you go.
Good.
He's about to come out and be a dick.
Yeah,
Charlie. He's the best.
Yeah, he's just like looking at him weird and giving him weird looks, and he's being intimidating. He's absolutely great in that. So all right. Well, I was showcasing a picture here of Chris and Susan Sarandon. They were married. That's how Susan got her name, was being married to Chris Sarandon. Yes, that Susan Sarandon. They were related because they were married to each other from 1967 to 79. Susan Sarandon was born Susan Tomlin, took Chris Sarandon's last name when they married, and they have remained on good terms despite the divorce. And this was one thing I thought was really cool, because I remember in the You're So Cool Brewster documentary that we've been referring to, that he actually mentioned this film to his ex-wife, who of course was Susan Sarandon, and she was all supportive of him doing this film.
Yeah, they've apparently been very supportive through, he got her, he was in the biz, and I think he got her, helped her get through everything, and they've stayed. And of course they got married young, as you do, but they've stayed good friends and very supportive of each other.
Yeah.
And then, William Ragsdale went into
Herman's Head. Yeah, remember Herman's Head? That was one of the shows on Fox, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that was a great series. I missed that one.
And he also was in Justified for a while.
That's right. Yeah. And so we're showcasing some of the other pictures here on YouTube of the cast. Amanda Bierce, of course, went on famously to co-star and also direct. She's been a very accomplished director as well, but she's got her big start with Married with Children, as was Marcy, the next door neighbor.
Yeah.
And then she went behind the camera as well, and she's been a very successful director as well. So, and of course, Stephen Jeffries, one of the standouts here. He did some alternative filming.
He did. So just type in his name, Google and write porn. And then we'll leave it at that. And take off the child filter.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. But he's still around. He's also he was also showcased on the documentary, and he had some really great insight about
just things that people do. Anyway, but you know what I liked? I like that he's still part of the group.
Yes, he is. He's done the convention circuit as well, and
no one cares.
No one cares. And he was a great interview on that documentary, so make sure you check it out. Of course, this is Couch Potato Theater Fright Night, celebrating its 40th anniversary. It came out in 1985. Now, we have a lot of fun categories here on Couch Potato Theater, and one of the ones I didn't think we were really going to cover, but I went down a rabbit hole, so to speak. So one of the ones that we have to showcase here is the fast or not so furious favorite mode of transportation. And one of them, of course, is, why
is it all just different colors?
Well, okay, so what I'm showcasing here is the Mustang here that, of course, Brewster drives. This is a 1966 Ford Mustang, which actually belonged to director-writer Tom Holland. The car was totaled in an accident a decade later. Classic style, and of course it's showcasing all this primer that's on it. So usually when something's showcases the primer, which is that gray, there's been some damage to it.
Like the whole car. And Christine.
Yeah, and that they have to either repaint over it or something like that. But yeah, that's usually what that means there. So, but it showcases the kind of car that kids had at those ages. It was always, if it was like an older, cool-looking car, but it was because it was like a crappy version of it. Kids always got the hand-me-downs from parents. His
dad's old car.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool.
We never know where the father is. Is he alive? Is he dead? Who knows?
So on YouTube here, I'm showcasing the moped that Amy is driving here.
Also, Stephen Jeffrey is wearing the total outfit for that year, because we will be doing later the Sure Thing, and he's pretty much wearing what John Cusack wears in the Sure Thing.
It is, yeah, that kind of like a bomber jacket and stuff,
with the sort of army pants tucked into the,
Well, I'm showcasing the Honda Elite here. This is the moped that Amy's riding here, and I don't know if you guys know this, but 1985 Honda Elite was having the best year ever. And I will showcase my point here. First of all, it was getting a huge promotion on print ads and, of course, on commercials and stuff. It was affordable, and it was popular for a lot of high school kids. And there's some print ads here. The whole band of Devo got in a print ad there as well. And then we had Jim McMahon, the Super Bowl winner, of course, that year for the Chicago Bears. And other famous people were doing it as well. Grace, what's her name? Grace Jones. Musicians were in it as well.
Miles Davis.
Yeah, Miles Davis was in a picture here as well. I mean, it was all over the place. And I remember seeing these. But you may have seen them in other films around the same time. And those are The Terminator. That's what Sarah Connor was.
No one wore a helmet.
Yeah. The Honda Elite. There you go. It looked kind of cool. It was, it was the big thing. But that wasn't the only other movie you saw it in. You may remember this movie right here, The Legend of Billie Jean, where the plot was basically about the Honda Elite, where Christian Slater gets it destroyed by one of the bullies, and she tries to get the bully's dad to help pay for it. And then, of course, one thing leads to another.
Never seen it.
Oh, great film. Great film. I recently rewatched it. Also, too, here's some other films this Honda Elite was showcased in, other than the Legend of Billie Jean, which is in 85. 87, we had The Adventures in Babysitting.
That's an amazing film.
Yeah, great film. Also, 86, Running Scared. They were both writing it down there. It was in Key West or wherever it was.
I enjoyed that film.
Yeah.
No helmets.
Yeah, no helmets. Also, remember the skateboarding movie Thrashin', and also the other skateboarding movie Gleaming the Cube, also showcased in those films as well.
I'm going to say it again. No helmets.
No helmets. People weren't wearing helmets back then.
No, did everyone survive? I think they did.
I did, yeah. But anyway, Honda Elite was having a great few years there, and I don't know if they're still available. I don't think they make them anymore. Maybe it might be another version, but I tell you, if they're still in good condition, I bet they go for lots of money. So yeah, okay.
Well, I'm going to look it up.
All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about, we're going to combine two of our topics here is the Zoolander. They look so hot right now. Favorite costume or fashion moment, and the Vanilla Ice Cool as Ice award to the most dated thing or person in this movie. And I got to go with Jerry Dandrige as the first nominee here. He just looks so cool with his jackets, and of course that wonderful scarf that he had, and then he had that kind of like leathery looking trench coat towards the end.
Can I just quickly?
Oh yeah, what did you find out about the
Honda Elite? Finished in 2010.
Wow.
So 1984 to 2010.
Wow, it had a nice run.
It
Jeez,
did.
there you go.
I feel that he has that scarf, and I feel it's to give an idea of blood.
I like that.
The neck, maybe like blood coming out.
It's
a
red scarf. Yeah, that's good. He just looks so freaking cool as well in that, I gotta say. But you had mentioned who was it that had the military outfit?
Evil Ed.
Evil Ed. He looked.
Yeah. Well, it was that time.
Yeah, he definitely looked dated, in that time. But
he reminds me a lot of Michael Nuray, who was in Flashdance. Very similar. They could they're in a mold.
Chris Sarandon.
Yes. And he did a show called Cliffhangers, which I think came out in like the late 70s, and he played Dracula. And
Michael Nuray.
Yeah. He was my first love when I was 11.
I don't want you to know this, but my wife has a huge crush on Michael Nuray. And she mentions it a lot.
I know. Well, he played Dracula, and they were very similar.
That was a good Dracula. Yeah.
Very similar type.
Yeah. So, was there any other fashion moments that jumped out at you?
No.
Okay.
No, I was saying that why Charley wearing a sports coat with
So Charley Brewster, that was a popular thing in the 70s and 80s where you had the sports coat jacket and then you had that elbow patch thing on it. Yeah. And you saw a lot of teachers wearing that as well. It was such a thing, especially in the 70s and the early 80s.
It's like I think Charley's quite the sort of, because the father's not around, he's had to sort of grow up a bit.
Oh, yeah. Become the man of the house, basically.
Become the man of the house. So he gives that sort of feeling of wearing the sports coat sort of thing.
Now, of course, with a vampire and monster type movie, we're going to have death scenes. So the next category we have here is here on Fright Night is the Sean Bean Award for Best Death Scene.
Lots.
Yeah. And I have 3 nominations here that I want to bring to the table here. Okay. First of all, Billy Poole here. Billy Poole's death. Billy Cole. Billy Cole's death. He's killed in Fright Night when Charley Brewster stakes him through the heart after he is shot and seemingly defeated by Peter Vincent.
And keeps doing a Michael Myers.
Yes. The stake causes him to dissolve into a green goo and dust, confirming he was not a typical vampire, but some other supernatural creature, like a ghoul or a golem creature that's created by Jerry Dandrige, which I think is really cool.
They've been together for a long time.
Because usually you just see vampires making other vampires.
Well, you would assume he was the Renfield color.
Yes. Yeah, he had a control on him, so yeah, definitely.
He had the thrall.
He had to survive daylight so he can do all the daylight stuff.
That's who Renfield was.
Exactly. So, and then we have, of course, Evil Ed's death here.
That's sad.
Let me bring that to the table here. Yes, Evil Ed's death. In Fright Night, Evil Ed dies after being impaled with a stake by Peter Vincent, who stabs him through the heart while he is in wolf form.
He falls.
The scene culminates as Ed, once impaled, painfully transforms back into a human self, regretfully watching for Peter before he dies. I feel like he falls and then the banister breaks and then he kind of lands on it.
He jumps over it. He gets impaled by the banister.
Yeah. But yeah, I like how it starts off with him in the red wig.
Like Raggedy Ann.
Raggedy Ann, yeah. So that's a good death scene. But let's go ahead and let's go to our lead villain here. Jerry Dandrige's death. In the final scene of Fright Night, Jerry Dandrige is destroyed by sunlight after Peter Vincent and Charley Brewster break the windows of his basement. As the sun rises, he turns into a flaming bat-like creature, yells, "Amy!" and crumbles to dust while Amy is restored to normal. So what death would you say is your favorite?
Oh, they're all good. I haven't got a favorite. Well, because Ed's is very sad.
I'm going to go with that one, the werewolf one.
Yeah, but it's a sad one.
Yeah,
It's a sad one. And
Yeah.
it's sad at the
But the
end.
makeup of him as the
Yeah.
wolf
And
and
going through the little bits, and then his little cross that he got burnt disappears, and he becomes all like natural at the end, and it's all.
I love the bat though that Jerry does turn into. It's really cool.
Oh, I like the thing at the end. It's very. There's a scene in Poltergeist that has something right at the end when they're being, the second part when they don't leave the house, they go back. And there's a big monster up there. And it was a very thing at that time, that special effects sort of look. What I call the marshmallow look.
The marshmallow look, yes.
They've done it with marshmallows.
All right, let's get into our next category here. The one that we always like to talk about with movies is the Kenny Loggins or John Williams' best use of music or song in the film. And we want to celebrate the composer himself, and that's Brad Fiedel. Brad Fiedel?
Go with either of them.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Fiedel for right now. Director Tom Holland sought out Brad to score the movie because he was impressed with the music in Terminator 1984.
Which we saw being played live by two little tiny girls hitting the drums.
So Aaron and I, last year? Last year,
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we were in Melbourne, Australia, and we went to go see a live big screen showing of the Terminator to a live orchestra.
Oh, so good.
And there's a lot of percussion and synth in that soundtrack, as you can imagine. And what she's referring to is they have these gigantic drums, and these two tiny girls are banging on the drums because you hear that percussion throughout a lot of that 84 soundtrack for Terminator. It was quite impressive that they did that. It was really, really neat.
Do it. Go see them.
Yeah. Well, Brad, by the way, is interviewed on this documentary that we keep referring to. So make sure you check that out. And Brad has done music for True Lies, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Terminator, of course. And there's also some cool songs on there, like Fright Night by the Jay Giles Band, who they were hired to do this song, and Save Me Tonight by White Sister, Rock Myself to Sleep performed by April Wine. These are some of the bands. But the one thing that came up that we were learning about was that instead of just hiring a band or to borrow their music and their music rights, they would actually approach a band saying, can you record a song for this movie? And they did that with Jay Giles Band, which it was kind of cool because you don't hear that song really anymore other than on this soundtrack. But it's really other than the actual, songs by bands, it's really the score that stands out. We brought up by Brad, right?
And especially with there was a scene when Jerry seduces Amy, and that Brad actually did a version of the music with lyrics, and then they went, no, the lyrics is going to take away.
Yes.
So the actual music, because they do have a theme. Jerry has this sexy sound. He has the Jaws theme.
Yes, he does.
He does. He has his own theme
playing
right now, and it's when you hear that theme, you know Jerry's around.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great point. And I remember Brad talking about how he put lyrics to it, and Tom was like, nah, the director. And then Brad came around going, he's right. That was a good decision that he did that, So yeah, great interview with him. Wonderful, wonderful soundtrack. I'm assuming the original soundtrack's probably very expensive to find right now. But I think it was Chris Sarandon was mentioning that he's signed that before people brought it up to it, but yeah, it's one of those. I think it's a very underrated soundtrack that not a lot of people mention as much as they should nowadays, with all the other great 80s soundtracks that are out there that get a lot more attention and love and stuff. And Fright Night definitely has a great soundtrack. So, all right, well, let's get into the next topic here. And as I have the list here on YouTube here of all of the songs on there, let's talk about, are you sure that wasn't real? Best special effects scene. And we're basically just going to show more love to the special effects team here. What you got here?
I got Fright Night motion picture soundtrack score, very rare CD, $225.
There you go. $225. Wow. Jeez. Yeah, I should have bought that 20 years ago. I want to celebrate the actual team itself, and it was led by Richard Edlin, excuse me. He was the head of visual effects, and his team had just come off completing work on Ghostbusters, which worked to the advantage of Fright Night. Quote, they had made all their mistakes with how to do the matte shots and everything on Ghostbusters with their huge budget. Holland commented, so that they really knew how to do the special effects as inexpensively and efficiently as it could be done at the time. The best special effects in Fright Night include Steve Johnson's creature and makeup work, particularly Evil Ed's wolf transformation, and the advanced optical and mechanical effects of Richard Edlund's team. The innovative use of prosthetic appliance, bodysuits, contact lenses, and intricate transformation sequences, especially Ed's death and regression to human form, are highlighted as highlights of this era's practical effects. The makeup for Evil Ed's wolf transformation took 18 hours while he had the wolf head on, and the crew began pouring what they thought was melicellose into his mouth. Into his mouth to create the illusion of saliva. But when Jeffrey began to complain about the taste, Mark Brian Wilson realized they had been using prosthetic adhesive instead, which was gluing his mouth shut. Oh, God.
He did hate it. He did say that was like, even though he loved doing the film, he goes, that was hard.
Yeah, yeah. But that bat prosthetic was really cool. And for those of you that don't know, too, Robert Edlund, he worked on all the Star Wars films. There's a great picture on YouTube here of all of the cool Star Wars props and stuff.
All the guys were very young. They were all, and they just went in there and tried to see if this worked and that worked, and and it's And I think that they were all very fond of it. It wasn't sitting. I know that Rob Bottin had a hard time with the thing because I think it was just ended up being sort of him,
right?
And he was literally working 24/7 with the help of certain things. To get through, and I think a lot of that probably did.
Are you referring to the cocaine on the set?
I think that was it. But then also that was a lot with the thing. He had to do a lot of that. But this is a day and age where literally they were seeing, you could touch it, feel it, and
we're gonna come back to makeups and special effects later, but definitely want to give a shout out to the makeup and special effects team on this, because the practical effects are amazing, and the documentary dives into that very well. So the Star Wars Twin Sons' favorite filming location or set piece is one of the fun things that we like to talk here, and I want to give a shout out to so I found this article on lamag.com, losangelesmagazine.com, about Fright Night filming locations, and look back how Fright Night turned LA into any town USA. Tom Holland's cult favorite 80s vampire flick came out 35 years ago this month. This was, of course, this article came out in 2020 by Jared Cohen. Make sure you check that out, because he goes on to say, in the 85 film Fright Night, the House of the Vampire Jerry Dandrige was filmed on a backlot, and it was so depicted as a multi-storied home located directly across the street from Brewster's residence. While the fictional town was named Rancho Corvallis, the house itself wasn't given a specific real-world address, and the location used for filming was on the Disney backlot in Burbank, California. The house was filled with dark and antique decor, including relics and ominous coat of arms insignia. I think that Jerry's set piece was probably the highlight for me personally. What about you, of all the sets?
I liked Peter Vincent's flat. All the relics.
Yeah, that was cool.
Movie.
That was really cool.
I want that, and I want that, and I like that. It was like everything was filled with all these movie relics.
Yeah, that was
which Roddy McDowell would have done.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I just love the street set scene as well, and the outside of the house. It was done really, really well. But yeah, I love that staircase inside Dandridge's house, and how
very Gone with the Wind.
How they use that in more than one scene as well. They were able to use that very, very well. So, okay, here's a fun one. We always like to come here now. Okay, so this movie was filmed in '84 and finished filming in '85. So I was 14 going on 15. You were 15 going on 16. Okay.
Well, when it was filmed, I was 14. But
yeah. Okay. So, I mean, let's go ahead and have fun with that. If you were a non-speaking extra on set, what scene would you want to be in? Now, of course, I let Erin know of the nominations that I had, and she gave me a different interest, but I'm going to give you the nominations here. I have, of course, the high school scene. There's also the restaurant scene as well. When he gets when Brewster gets
The pie in the face.
Yeah, Amy puts the sandwich in his face. There's also the cool dance disco scene.
Very tech noir.
Very tech noir, yes, tech noir from a Terminator. That's also had a lot of good extras in it. But Aaron didn't go there.
No, I didn't.
No, Aaron, where would you want to be a non-speaking extra?
I want to be the victim at the start where she didn't speak, but she might have shown something. And I was 15, so let's go with it. And and getting bitten by a shirtless Chris Sarandon as Jerry. Yeah, that's me.
So what my wife is saying is she wanted to be the topless girl in the beginning of this film, which is why it garnered really an R rating.
Yeah. I don't care. Don't care.
That's a good answer. I'm not going to argue with that.
Well, you said that it was an extra. She didn't speak.
She didn't speak. This is true.
Extra though.
This is true. Yeah.
Had the music in the background.
This is true. All right.
What were you?
What's that?
What were you?
I really liked. I was leaning towards the restaurant scene, but rewatching him seducing Amy in the disco dancing, I want to be there because there's some cool extras that get some good screen time there, and I thought that would be a good one. Because remember when we did the Terminator one, we all talked about we would be in tech noir while the Terminator first tries to kill Sarah Connor.
I did that on Facebook, and I picked who.
Yeah, you actually picked a girl in the back of it, and I would have been some white guy in the back going like this, dancing.
Yeah, yours is boring.
Okay, so you're an extra. We just did that. You did your topless scene. I'm in the dance scene.
Yeah, I would have been in the trailer. You wouldn't have.
This is true. This is very true. So here's the deal. You're an extra, but you're friends with the on-set prop master. They say you can take one thing home from the set. What prop are you taking, Aaron? Now, I have some stuff that, we could throw here.
The big thing, the big marshmallow thing at the end.
Okay, explain that. What is that?
The Jerry's big, bat thing.
So you want the bat, which is there on the
not that
screen.
bat. His death when he's the skeleton.
Oh, you want the corpse of Jerry Dandrige.
Yeah, just like a big marshmallow.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. That's a good one. There's also, I would love to see the nominations I have. First of all, I got to throw in the scooter, the Honda Elite scooter. That thing's pretty cool. The
mouth.
Yes.
Amy's mouth.
Yeah, the mouth on Amy, that vampire mouth. Also, the bat itself that Jerry Dandrige turns into.
And everything in Peter Vincent's flat.
That's a good one. Yeah. So actually,
and his bag that's got all the vampire stuff in it.
Okay, that's a good one. Also, too, the werewolf makeup thing that he turns into.
Evil Ed.
Yeah, Evil Ed turns into. But I did pick one. I narrowed it down to one, and that is the actual cross that Vincent has that he burns Evil Ed with when Evil Ed comes from behind him. And I have it on YouTube here. There's a picture. I love the way that cross is shaped, and it's funny too because the way that he does it, it just kind of looks like an X when it's on his face. But I love that prop. I love that cross. That would be a cool one to have. Plus, you can carry it around a lot. So that's my pick. Okay, this is one. This is a category that our good friend Lacey has come up with because she's done so many great podcasts with us, including the Couch Potato Theaters. So this is the Lacey, the Lacey question: who would you have lunch or dinner with between takes or at the wrap party, or who would you avoid? So, I kind of put the obvious one here, Jerry Dandrige, Chris Sarandon. He would be kind of cool to hang out with between takes.
Roddy McDowall.
Yeah, Roddy McDowall.
He'd have a really good knowledge.
Yes, definitely. But you brought up another one that I didn't really think about. No, wait, I did. The special effects team.
Yeah. Lots of drugs and sex on tables, apparently. Hang out with them. They sound fun.
They sound like they would have a kick-ass after party too.
And you can help and make things.
Yes. They would probably have lots of drinks. They'd probably have lots of food. They'd probably have a lot of extracurricular.
I don't know how much food is going on there, but anyway. It was the 80s.
Yeah, so
cute too. So there you go.
So is it the special effects team you want to hang out with? Yeah, definitely. It would be fun to hang out with it, but for sure. So the next category we have here is the Titanic I'm King of the World career moment. was an actor in this movie at the top of their career, or was anything else from this movie trending, newsworthy, tabloid popular when this movie was released. And I want to make a case for Mr. Sarandon himself. He was having a really good 80s, for those of you that know. And also he was nominated for an Oscar as well. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but Chris Sarandon's best years in Hollywood include the mid to late 1970s and 80s, highlighted by his Oscar nomination role in Dog Day Afternoon from 1970.
The gay lover.
Yeah, 1975. He's also well known, of course, for playing Jerry Dandrige in Fright Night in 85, Prince Humperdinck in The Princess Bride in 87, Detective Mike Norris in Child's Play 1988, and Jack Skellington, the voice, in Nightmare Before Christmas in 1993. So he was having a great run here. I think he's definitely worth noted. A good nomination for this as well.
He's very like, follow him on some socials, and he's right into like growing vegetables, and he lives a healthy life, and he's in his 80s now.
Yeah.
And he loves growing his vegetables and living sort of off the earth, really.
Good interview as well. One of the things, though, that I felt that really needed some attention for this, and I was thinking about it, was like, what else is having I'm a king of the world moment here during this mid 80s? Because Aaron, I will never forget when you said this to me. When we, first of all, it was one of the things that we bonded over was the movie Tough Turf. It came out in 1985. We did a Tough Turf podcast here on the Fandom Podcast Network. Check it out. James Spader, yes. But I remember you saying that 1985 was the 80th of all the 80s years, basically. And we made a case for it. Not just the movies that came out, but like the music and the styles and all that kind of stuff. But also, too, there's something else that needs to be celebrated that was having a king of the world moment, and that is 80s practical effects. Oh my God, 80s practical effects was having a wonderful decade, and we're right in the middle of it.
I think that's because the latex came in. It was all that sort of, Rick Baker brought in the whole, pushing the latex with the blood going through it, and American Werewolf. And I think that's what set that off.
So I found an article on CBR.com called 10 80s practical effects that were far ahead of their time. And puppetry, yes. And that's all accounted for this here. And so I got a slideshow here of a lot of the most popular ones here that are listed. And I'm going to start with number 10. Number 10 was the AT-AT walkers that look like actual walkers from The Empire Strikes Back. Return of the Living Dead turned Tarman into a quintessential zombie. Number 8, Jim Henson made the fantastical creatures believable in The Dark Crystal. Number 7, 2015 was imagined to have hoverboards and flying cars for Back to the Future.
Why don't we have those? That's a lie.
I know, right? Yeah, we should have had it. Number 6 was the dragon from one of the scariest movies in Dragon Slayer.
Yeah, if you could see it.
It's true. Number 5, RoboCop. Looked like a real cyborg in RoboCop. And then we had number 4, An American Werewolf in London won an Oscar for its actual special effects.
Yeah, it was the first one.
Yep, there you go. And the top 3, according to this list, is Jeff Goldblum as he was making his transformation into the Fly. And you can't really argue these top 2 here. Number 2 is the Xenomorph Queen revolutionized animatronics and aliens. And number 1, and we just watched this, was The Thing as an iconic movie monster. One of the best creature type. What the fuck is that? And there it is, The Thing right there. In its many forms, if you're watching the YouTube video here on the Fandom Podcast Network. So what do you think of that list? You think that's a good nomination for showcasing the best of 80s special practical effects?
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot others too. So, yeah. I mean, yes, as I said, Society had shunting. The whole thing was special effects. The last end of that movie was just a big thing of slime and goo and latex.
It's true. Yeah.
See Society.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of it was subtle too. Even when I look at the effects used for the other vampire films and a lot of the other stuff that was coming out, it was just a really great year for practical effects. A lot of creative people.
Well, I mean, Dick Smith started doing it with The Exorcist, and I think that was a big thing with The Exorcist, was also with her. They had to freeze the room to get the breath. None of this happens now. It's all done by boring finger on thing.
But yeah, it's just I feel like when it comes to having a King of the World moment, 80s practical effects was it, and we love going back and watching those.
And I think it's coming back. So I think, how do you say his name again? Gilmore.
What's that?
We're seeing Frankenstein.
Yes,
he does.
Guillermo del Toro's new Frankenstein movie is coming out.
He does practical effects. You know, it's the guy who directed The Witch. He and Nosferatu. That's back to practical effects. The guy who did Alien, Romulus. Maybe not a great film, but he's going back. It's going back to practical effects. I think even though CGI is still being used and overused, I do think that it worked best in something like. I mean, again, the first Jurassic Park, you're never going to get it because most of that stuff was real and then they threw in special CGI.
Right.
The same with District 9. They were in one of those slums and then they threw in the 2 prawns and they were CGI. So everything else was real and you had to see. But now all the backdrops CGI, and I just get bored. It looks like a game. So I like the fact that now it is starting to again come back to more practical effects, and that Guillermo
del Toro
is now apparently bringing a stop motion studio to France.
Yeah,
so that keeps, because really those AT-ATs still walk better than they would if they were CGI.
Yeah,
they had that weird sort of freaky walk because there was stop motion. So
which kind of still makes them menacing in a way.
Well, and it's amazing how he never really, I'm going to say it fucked up. Empire Strikes Back. When they did those redos where they threw all the CGI little monsters on.
Right.
He stayed a little bit, I think Cloud City was a little bit touched, but I think he really did stay away from Empire.
Yeah. Agreed. And it's one of those things where I look back, including the end of Terminator, when you see the skin coming off the endoskeleton and how we see behind the scenes of them holding up the endoskeleton as like a puppet. It's just, but it's still terrifying to watch,
but Jaws would never, there was that rumor they were going to digitize Jaws. And I'm glad they didn't do that. And even though some of it now looks a bit daggy, it still is better than having what was that blue deep water blue
Deep Blue Sea.
That's the one.
There you go. All right, so the next category we like to talk about is, of course, what happens next. The next day is the remake, reboot, sequel, couch potato theater discussion on that. So we want to get into that real quick. Well, first of all, there was a sequel, of course, to Fright Night, and that was Fright Night 2. Came out in '88, and I had never seen this before, and I wanted.
Seen it once.
You've seen it once. What is your initial thoughts on it? You're kind of no.
I've seen it once.
Yeah,
that proves on how much I. Yes.
So not in your case, not rewatchable, not very memorable, right?
Yeah. No, I don't care.
Well, I wanted to find a copy of it, and I found this Blu-ray copy here. Someone had it, and
Dodge.
It is Dodge. Yes. Yeah. I bought it on eBay. But I gotta say the quality actually is pretty good. But yeah, when you have to write in your own Fright Night Part 2 on the actual white disc, that you're like, okay,
done that a bit better.
I know he could have, yeah. But it was actually decent quality. It wasn't like this grainy VHS thing, so I'm thankful for that. But I did watch it because I was kind of curious to hear about it. And the main villain, this is a woman, and we find out that it's the sister to Jerry Dandrige's character. And we find out that Jerry Dandrige is 1,000 years old before he dies in the first film. And it's kind of a little more of the same, basically. It's not as good as the first one. I did find it entertaining personally. Brian Thompson is one of the bad guys in it. And I got to say though, the special effects team, cocaine and all, came back for this because it was done really well. There's some really good special effects, good death scenes. There were some funny scenes as well. The best death scene for me was Brian Thompson, who we all know has done a lot of appearances.
He was that guy in X-Files. He had that thing that went in the back.
Yes. But we recently covered him in Cobra. The couch potato theater for Cobra, and he was the main villain in Cobra with Sylvester Stallone, and that is also recently done on couch potato theater here on the Fandom Podcast Network.
2 villains in Buffy.
Yes, played 2 villains in Buffy, was in Star Trek, played some several alien characters.
And our favorite, Kindred the Embrace.
Kindred the Embrace, yes.
He was one of the gangster ones.
Yeah.
No, was he? No, he was one of the business ones.
Yeah, I think
You
so.
played it.
Yeah, he Kindred the Embrace, of course, the vampire TV, short-lived vampire series that was canceled on Fox, based, of course, on the role-playing game.
Didn't help that their lead actor died in a motorcycle crash. Didn't help.
But what I was going to mention was he had a great death scene in Fright Night Part 2 where he gets his gut ripped open by some claws, and you see these cool like bugs start to crawl all out of it, and then his corpse just slowly starts to like deflate. It's pretty good, actually. But anyway, it was okay. I'm glad I own it. A somewhat sketch copy of it that it is.
I'm dobbing on you.
Yeah. What?
What?
What did you say?
I'm dobbing on you.
What does that mean?
I'm telling on you.
Oh, well, gotcha. Busted. Yeah, thank you, eBay. But at least I got to see it, and I don't know. It's not as it's okay.
Confused with that and Vamp.
Yeah. But it was okay. So anyway, that is Fright Night Part 2. Now
Boogaloo?
What's that?
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, Part 2 Electric Boogaloo is everything that has a Part 2 is Electric Boogaloo, right? So now the next one is the remake, Fright Night Fright Night the Reboot, which came out in 2011. And now what's interesting, this is the one that, of course, stars Anton Yelchin, rest in peace. He's passed away over the last several years, unfortunately. And then, of course, Jerry Dandrige is played by Colin Farrell. Now, I actually saw this in the theater, and I remember I had to explain it. Aaron's like, "Why did you go see this in the first place?" Well, by this time, I'm a big fan of Colin Farrell, and I wanted to see Colin Farrell. And the trailers let you know that it was, of course, a vampire movie, and I was seeing everything in 3D at the time because this was during the 3D phase from like 2009 when Avatar came out to like 2017 when it was like it's in its heyday basically until they stopped making 3D TVs. You could still see movies in 3D in the theaters, but I went to go see this and I actually enjoyed it, and I saw this well before, of course, I saw the original Fright Night, and I did enjoy it. It was entertaining. There were some good special effects moments that lent to the 3D moments as well. So yeah, David Tennant plays the Vincent Price character, but it's like a Las Vegas act because this movie takes place on the outskirts of Las Vegas. We recently watched it in 3D.
You watched it, I slept.
Yeah, she took a nap. But you're not a fan of this remake. Why?
So I saw this, I think I must have either a hype. So when was it? 2011.
Oh,
why do I feel like I downloaded it? Probably.
There it is, right
It
there.
wasn't on TV. So maybe we rented it. We were still renting then? I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I thought Colin Farrell was quite good. It's different. It hasn't got the charm or the fun or it's yeah. Anyway.
I'm gonna put it right in my face there. Look at it.
Yeah, I know. I thought he was good. I didn't like the rest of it. I didn't like David Tennant.
You thought Colin Farrell was good?
Yeah, I thought he was good, but the rest of it lost its charm. It's lost its charm. That's all I can say.
Okay.
It just didn't. And last night I slept through it because it was boring.
It was directed by Craig Gillespie. He was the director for it, and writers were Marty Noxon and Tom Holland. So Marty Noxon we know from Buffy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. And then, they sort of changed it, and then
One of the things they really changed was Christopher Mintz-Plasse' character, who's the friend of Anton Yelchin's Brewster, where he turns early and is taken away for a while until he comes back transformed into that version of the vampire. David Tennant, of course, is the Vincent Price character, and the girl friend is played by Imogen Poots.
Who was that guy?
And David Franco is in it as well as one of the.
Who was that guy in Vegas? He had his own show for a while, which is sort of what David Tennant was based on. He was a magician. He was sort of an emo magician.
Oh, he still has a show there in Vegas.
Yeah. Anyway, that's who he was sort of like.
Yeah, he was based after him. The Mind Freak guy. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but I just think that it lost its. Yeah.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
wasn't fun.
I think it had its moments. I enjoyed it. But after watching the original, it's not as good as the original. But it had its moments for me. And I like Toni Collette as the mom. I thought she had her moments as well. I thought the effects were pretty good too for being mostly CGI for it. And there was moments, of course, that lent to 3D. I liked how he had the house, the construction going on, so he can keep prisoners in there as well. But my favorite scene in the film, which I thought was done really well, where Jerry knows that Brewster's in the house and he's trying to get the escaped. Was it a showgirl that he captured? And she's already been bitten, and he's trying to escape the house with her. The sun has already come up, and Jerry lets him escape. And as soon as they go out in the sun, the girl bursts into flames. No evidence of being around. Thought that was a great scene there. So, but I enjoyed it. I think it's good. It's also fun to watch in 3D. But yeah, so we split on that. I'm a fan of it. I like it.
Remind me never to do it again.
There you go. But I will say not as good as the original. So I will bring that to the table there. So, well, this is Fright Night, celebrating, of course, its 40th anniversary. Aaron, does it feel like 40 years old?
No, because you know that we only think that was like 10 years ago.
I know. That's the weirdest thing. We have these memories of 1985 and they're there. And then we've been reminded of the stuff we've forgotten. And then it all comes back and it feels like 10 years ago. So the last discussion that we want to have here is that I'm a big fan of vampire films. Aaron is as well. And this is, of course, one of the most iconic vampire films. So we want to talk about, where does Fright Night stand in your best vampire movies of all time? And I did find some stuff on the old internet here, and I found some cool pictures of some of the most popular ones out there as well. Of course, if you're looking at the video here, there's a lot that pop up there as well. And I found, ranker.com. They're on Instagram. They did a poll of people giving their thoughts on it. And I'm not necessarily, I agree with this poll, but it does give us a barometer of what's popular with a lot of people. And their number 10 was Nosferatu, the original, of course. When this ranker was done, the new one had not come out yet. Number 9 was 30 Days of Night.
Oh, that's good.
Yep. Number 8 was From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Number 7 was Fright Night. Number 6 was Van Helsing. Number 5 was Underworld. Number 4 was Bram Stoker's Dracula. Number 3 was The Lost Boys. Number 2 was Blade. And number 1 was Interview with a Vampire. What do you think of this list at first glance?
Generic.
Yeah, generic. Like probably what most people would be, looking at and stuff like that. So
yeah, I'm just trying to find the movie name, but keep going.
That's fine. So, there's some of these, like I would put 30.
It's what I call people who aren't massive horror fans will pick those. There's nothing special about that.
It's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't, first of all, it's a guilty pleasure, but Van Helsing, I don't think deserves to be on this list.
Horrible.
It's a guilty pleasure for me, but it's not a good movie. This should not be on the list. Fright Night, obviously. From Dusk Till Dawn is like 2 movies in one.
Okay, so From Dusk Till Dawn, I'm a weird one on this. The first part.
You like the first part better.
I love the first. If they didn't go into the vampire thing and they just kept it as like that sort of thriller with Quentin Tarantino being a bit weird and murdering everyone. Yeah. I still think it's George Clooney's best thing he's ever done because it's different to George Clooney. Right. That and out of sight. But I'd rather the first part. Then I think it got stupid. I like Underworld. I think the second one's better. Right. I don't think that.
I'm a big fan of Underworld for reasons.
Love 30 Days of Night.
Yeah, 30 Days of Night I would put higher on this list personally. Yeah.
I enjoyed Blade 2.
Blade 2 was good.
Interview with a Vampire, the series is better than the film.
Interesting.
Love the series.
Well, I wanted to showcase my favorite, and I asked Erin what her favorite vampire movie is. My favorite vampire.
You forced me on that.
So I did force you.
On that.
Yeah, you didn't want to answer. You there's too many.
Yeah.
But mine is Near Dark from 1987, and I like the fact that vampires never uttered in this movie as well. And you have some creative and actors carrying over from 1986 Aliens. Gail Ann Hurd is the director of this. Of course, she was the producer on Aliens, and you get Bill Paxton in here as well. Lance Hendrickson, Jeanette Goldstein are the main vampires in this. Wonderful, wonderful movie. Movie that Aaron and I also bonded on. This one is my favorite.
I saw it at the cinema.
And I'm jealous of that.
Yeah, I know. Me and 3 other people in the world.
The one I drug out of Aaron, she says Dracula.
Okay, so I'm going to take it back.
Yeah?
Yeah, because look, as much as I loved it and I saw it 20 times at the cinema, I think it was because it's like you going to see Star Wars Force Awakens or whatever that next one was. It's sort of something you felt you needed to go see, and you did enjoy it, but would you really watch it again? It has moments, it has set pieces, but there's also some faults in it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Fright Night.
Fright Night's your favorite?
I'm going to put it back.
Wow.
It,
okay, see, that is a hot take. Okay, so what makes you change your mind? Because I literally asked you this the other day.
Yeah, I know, and you
gave
forced me to pick one.
Yes, I have you pick one.
And I have lots.
And so why is Fright Night your favorite vampire movie of all time?
Because I could sit, so as much as I love Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and I love the bride scene, and it has some amazing set pieces. Lucy getting seduced by the werewolf vampire and all that. I don't think it's Gary Oldman's greatest. I love Gary Oldman, but I think it would have preferred like someone else. I don't know. Also, Keanu Reeves sucks. So there's really good bits and there's really bad bits. And it's the same with Lost Boys. I love parts of Lost Boys, but then also I think Lost Boys is dated for me on certain parts. Like I like the older stuff, not the frog twin thingies. So looking back on everything, there's nothing I can fault in Fright Night.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to go with that. I love Near Dark, but I wouldn't specifically say it was a vampire. It is a vampire movie, but yeah.
Well, I would definitely put Fright Night in a top 10 of vampire films for sure.
Well, I mean, there's a lot. Definitely. I mean, there's heaps of stuff. I like 30 Days a Night. I think that's a great film. There's other stuff. Like was it Kiss of the Damned, which is a movie no one's seen, but that's like a American Euro vampire film that was very big in the 70s. And so there's a mixture of stuff that, there's so I can't pick one. I can pick ones that are in certain categories. Right. So you go like, well, what's your favorite, vampire westerny thing? Well, I'll go Near Dark. Or what's your favorite comedy sort of thing? Well, I'd probably say near Fright Night. Well, what's your favorite romantic one?
You've made a case. We've started our final thoughts here. Let's get. This was your idea.
Was it?
Yeah, we were talking about wanting to do not only a podcast together for the Fandom Podcast Network here on Couch Potato Theater, but we were looking like, well, what about a Halloween theme one? Because you and I love Halloween. We love sharing time on Halloween. We love planning Halloween. There you go. You're wearing your Halloween shirt there. And we've been looking at Halloween stores this last week, as Halloween is coming up and later this week. So we're excited. You chose this one, and also it was great because it landed on its anniversary. Give me your final thoughts on Fright Night.
Oh, it's best. And rewatching it again and again. I literally could watch it again. Since watching it on there, all of it's just fun and beautifully shot, and the effects, and everyone's amazing, and the music. And even with the ending, whether or not there's something still out there or not. And it was just.
That's right. The eyes that are gleaming across the street.
No, we don't know who that is. It could be something else.
Yeah, that's cool. This is what I love about being on the Fandom Podcast Network and doing podcasts, is that it's allowed me to discover films that I passed up for whatever reason. Especially with our Time Warp podcast, where we do a podcast on an entire year. And as of this recording, we're doing 1990. It's 35 years ago. Yeah, I know, right? And, we did cover 84 a while ago. And, we had mentioned Fright Night, and I never got around to watching it. And I decided to finally do it. And I'm really glad that I did. And there's a lot, and then there's, for someone in my situation, I never had HBO in the family, so we didn't have these movies that were playing on HBO rotation.
We didn't have HBO in Australia. We went to the US.
Yeah, it was the theater or heavily edited versions on TV, and me not being not horror not being my favorite genre. It wasn't one I would take chances on at the video rental stores, And so I'm glad that I finally did, and this is definitely one of the films that I'm very grateful to watch.
Coming up to the bit that I want to own.
Ah, yeah, so we're having it playing here in the background. So yeah, so yeah, and it's one that I'm sharing with here with my lovely wife Erin as well. So we love talking about all things Halloween, and this is definitely a good Halloween movie. And the fact that we got to watch it in LA on our hotel room with a double feature with a thing was absolutely fantastic. So there you go.
There you go. That's what I want. You can put him up on the wall.
There you go. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap things up here, guys. All right, if you're watching the YouTube channel here, go ahead and hit our QR code there. It'll take you to our website. We'd appreciate the support there. Please also subscribe to us here on the Fandom Podcast Network and, of course, all of your podcast catchers. Let us know what you think here in the YouTube comments. We'd like to know. You can find the Fandom Podcast Network, of course, online on the website there at fpnet.podbean.com. Facebook, Instagram, X, and we are also on Blue Sky as well. My name is Kevin. You can find me at Spartan_Phoenix on all the socials, including Blue Sky at Spartan Phoenix. Erin, you are on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Where
Erin Gill 666.
Erin,
obvious.
Erin Gill, what?
666.
666. There you go. Erin Gill 666 on Instagram. Also, if you want your own couch potato theater, head on over to TeePublic. We also have logos from all of our other podcast here on the Fandom Podcast Network, t-shirts, cups, hats, give support there. We'd appreciate that. This is Couch Potato Theater Fright Night 1989. Excuse me, 85, 40 years ago. Jeez. Anyway, Erin, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a blast.
You're old.
I know we're old. We are old.
It's good.
Feels good.
I know.
Anyway, thank you so much for coming on. This was a lot of fun.
Been a pleasure.
Make sure you guys, Erin and I are actually going to get together again and do another movie. This was Erin's pick for good reasons. And I'm going to tease it right now. If you are curious, we're going to be covering 1985, The Sure Thing.
Yeah, we're going to
also 40 years old. So make sure you're
truly going to appreciate the good fortune.
So make sure you check in on the Fandom Podcast Network and yes, and the Couch Potato Theater. This is Fright Night 1985. Thank you guys all again very much for joining us here on the Fandom Podcast Network.
You're so cool, Brewster.
And what I love the fact is we started this movie, we started the podcast, and we're going to finish it before the movie ends, right when it's ending. All right, guys, we will see you next time here on the couch on Fandom Podcast Network for Couch Potato Theater.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. See you guys.